Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our podcast. Today, I have with me one of my favorite people on the internet, Dr. Lee C. Cordell. Dr. Lee is an expert anti-shame coach and the CEO and founder of the Institute for Trauma and Psychological Safety. Dr. Lee uses her 15 plus years of experience in healthcare and psychology to help her professional and entrepreneurial clients release shame and prioritize pleasure as a path to trusting themselves to call in what they desire. Her mission is to empower people in the development of safe, healthy, and shame-free personal and professional relationships. So welcome, Dr. Lee. I'm so excited to have you today.
Thank you for having me.
I've been following you for a long time, so I have kind of seen all of the different things you put out there, and you're always working to provide the best next thing for people and what people really need in that moment. And I know you've got a virtual summit coming up that is going to be what people need in this season of their lives. So
Yeah,
I would love for you to tell people all about that.
absolutely. So we have a 3-day virtual immersive live event called the TRIPS Conference coming up January 5th through 7th of 2024. So Friday through Sunday. And, one of our biggest missions at our institute is to help people understand how their past painful experiences affect them in the present and what to do about it so that they can shift their future. And we have a 9-month certificate program that people can go through and really deep dive into all the things trauma and psychological safety and empowerment, all those pieces. And I think right now in today's society, everyone needs a little bit of this to help them not just survive, but thrive a little bit more because there is so much going on.
Yeah.
And so we decided to put this event on as, if you think of our 9-month certificate program as the deep dive, this is the toe dip. So this is, how do I walk out of this event understanding, being a more aware and sensitive to what trauma does, how it affects us and other people. And also, what do I do about that? What are some strategies to help myself during these really uncertain and overstimulating, overwhelming times? And how do I keep feeling the way that I want to feel, or how do I get back to feeling the way I want to feel? So you will not learn everything about trauma in these 3 days. Like, I will not even pretend to say that. And it's meant to be something very practical, very tangible, and really simple, for people to understand more about this and to walk away feeling more empowered.
Yeah, I love that. And I think especially in the entrepreneurial space right now, people are
Oh,
going
Lord.
through so much. They're,
There's
the recession and like, are we getting clients? People are buying slow. People are questioning their whole lives.
right.
The stress, the spinning your wheels and feel like nothing is happening. And am I meant to do this or should I be doing something else? There's so much weight on people on top of everything else that's going on in the world right now.
And I think a lot, we're going through a really interesting shift where, in our 9-month certificate program, we talk a lot about how trauma affects us at every level, like both individual, internal, all the way up to systemic, collective, global. And actually, our 2023 cohort is just finishing up. Last week, we talked about systems. So many systems right now are rupturing. And I think that this is a really critical time. And I'm actually excited. I know a lot of people are looking at this and there's a lot of fear and there's a lot of uncertainty. And I think you will feel more excited about the potentials of these systems rupturing after the 3-day event, because the things that are not working are breaking.
Yeah.
And when things that aren't working are breaking, that means that we get to come in and figure out, okay, what needs torn down and rebuilt, what needs torn down and not rebuilt, what just needs refortified. Like, we really get to look at things from this lens of, or through this lens of curiosity and through this lens of mutually beneficial outcomes, which is something that a lot of our world wasn't built on. So we have this new lens of and a way of looking through things. And so especially for entrepreneurs, for change makers, for leaders, I think this conference is going to be really perspective shifting and life changing, because we want to make sure that we are coming at this a little bit more optimistically to ensure that things do go the way that we'd like them to go.
I think overall with the online space, people were very much like people have been burned a lot in the last
Yeah.
5 years. There's a lot of people out there doing sleazy stuff. And then since you're in that space, sometimes it's you have to remind yourself like I am not that. I am not
Yes.
coming at people with those sleazy tactics, but it can feel like you are because you feel like you're lumped into that group, and so you
Yeah.
have to like hyper aware of it, which then again is of course exhausting to be, even though you're not all of those things, to be constantly thinking, oh, like was that the wrong thing to say, or was that
Mhm.
pushy, or did I make them feel like that was like it's just so hard to navigate like sales conversations right now with people,
Yeah.
and also keep yourself regulated.
Oh my gosh. I really appreciate you speaking on this because, we don't just work with entrepreneurs. And honestly, entrepreneurs are my favorite people to work with because there's already an element of thinking outside the box or not thinking there is a box. And with these systems rupturing, with these, the coaching community, the online business community, all of the systems really shifting, you're right. Like you can start questioning yourself. And so one of the things we really want people to be able to walk away with is understanding when they're regulated versus when they're not when they're not regulated, when they're dysregulated, and how to tell when other people are that way too.
Mhm.
Because that skill, and it is a skill, it's something you practice looking for and understanding, that will make you so much money, that will save you so much money, that will give you access to resources, time and energy and knowledge that most people on the planet don't have. So,
Yeah.
you want an entrepreneurial edge, you want a professional edge, learn more about trauma and learn more about the nervous system, because you're going to start seeing things in people and going, oh, this person's saying they're cool and they're not cool. So like, let me handle this now versus 2 weeks from now when they write something on Yelp and give us a 1-star review and tank our ratings. So there's a lot of places, really tangible places that we can apply this in our businesses and our work. And then also on that more global collective scale, like really start to shift things so that we don't keep making messes like this that we have.
Yeah, and I love that you talked about like the whole system like being kind of flawed, and it
Yeah.
crumbling is not the worst thing. And I think it's good to remind ourselves, and I for sure have like seen people make investments and have made investments myself from a dysregulated place and then been like, what the heck? Like why did I do that? That was not the move.
Right.
I was just so like, I just need something. And it,
Yeah.
this person is selling, to me that this is going to solve all my problems. And instead of like, taking a deep breath and actually looking at things, you impulse to like solve the problem.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot, you know, I'm going to keep it brief because we could talk about this for 3 hours. And there is, we have to be able to take a look at ourselves and be really aware of what's going on and say, okay, am I participating in creating more dysregulation, or am I, really staying regulated in a really dysregulated space? And so it feels like I'm doing something wrong. And in actuality, I am doing what is like what feels right for me. And so that investment piece is so big. And also, like, how do you forgive yourself when you make a mistake? How do you move on from that? How do you not, again, drag that past into the present when you're now going to potentially make another investment? So these skills are so helpful. Understanding trauma, being trauma aware and responsive, and also knowing how to create a psychologically safe space, like a place that people feel like they belong, they're included, they can bring their full selves. Those are two of the best things that we can do in any area we're in. And the thing that I think is so important for us to understand is that we have to start like internal.
Yeah.
You have to be a safe place for yourself before you can try to be a safe place for someone else. So if you're still dragging your past forward and using it as a stick to hurt yourself with, or a carrot to try to like bribe yourself with, there, those two things aren't going to shift your future in the way that you want them to, because you're using the past. From my bio and from what we talked about to this point, you might think, oh, this is just for professionals. This is just for, entrepreneurs. I'm a stay-at-home parent, or, I'm outside of those things. We also said leaders. And the thing I want to be so emphatically clear about is that I believe every single person is a leader, because you've got at least one person you can lead, and that's yourself. If you're a parent, we joke that our kids are our minions, right? Like, I am their leader, and my husband is one of their leaders. We are showing them what it looks like to grow up and to become more empowered, to make your own decisions, to make sure your needs are met. And so we really want to be able to model that for them. And I heard this quote the other day that really kind of wrecked me, which was, I really hope that my kids model what I said and not what I did. And I was like, oh my gosh, that right there, like, I need those two things to match. And
Yeah.
whether this is your kids, this is your employees, this is, your partner, this is whomever you're interacting with, I want what I say to match what I do. And, I want to be in integrity. And that is really hard to do if you are dysregulated, if your past pain is affecting how you're showing up in the now. And so if there's one thing you're going to really get from this event, we're going to come at it 17 different ways, is, you know, it all starts inside of you. And so if you can start to create systems for yourself that help you be kinder and more compassionate to yourself and take care of yourself, guess what's going to happen? Everyone around you is not only going to see that and start modeling it, you're also going to be kinder and more compassionate and easier able to support them because you feel better. So
Yeah.
that is really the goal of this. Is, like I said, it's a toe dip. It's not meant to be the end all be all problem solver for people. And it's supposed to give you a really solid foundation to move from.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And that's so important. And I will definitely be there because, I have done the barely like pinky toe dip into the waters just from following you for so long and, watching your reels or your TikToks and seeing your post on Facebook and all of that amazing stuff. But I definitely am excited to learn more. And, you can always be improving the way you move through the world.
Yeah, even if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, I'm already trauma trained or I'm already trauma informed, guess what? I still would say, I think it's even more important for you to come, because I think that the reason we set things up the way we did is when I learned about trauma informed care and trauma training, it was all directed externally. It was all, how do you help other people?
Yeah.
And this is one of the few trauma informed trainings that I've seen. And I'm so happy. Like, if someone's like, oh, there's this other awesome one, please send it my way. I love sending people to other places to learn this information because we all learn in different ways. But this is one of the few ones I've seen that's really focused in on how do you take care of yourself and then take care of other people. It's both.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you can't take care of other people if you're not taking care of yourself.
Nope. Can't do it.
Yeah.
Not for long and not well.
Yeah. And not without, it being a detriment to your own self. And then you end up in the downward spiral.
Yep. Been there far too many times. So if anyone's listening to this, like, oh, Dr. Lee has it all figured out. Like, I literally used the words downward spiral this morning. And I had my resources. I had my tools. My husband's trained in this stuff too. So he caught it and he's like, hey, and he used some of our practices and we were back to good in 5 minutes. So like, you're not going to be perfect at this, even if you do take our 9 month or, if I'm not perfect at this, you're not going to be perfect at this. And I think that that's such a permission slip to go, it's allowed to be better. It's allowed to feel better.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're allowed to slip up. I think.
Yeah.
Like, it's a perfectionist cycle that a lot of us get into. Well, I'm going to like change my whole life. I'm going to do everything right. I'm never going to, feel dysregulated or anxious or ever again. And it's okay to like, you're going to feel not 100%. And you just need the skills to bring it back and, figure out the next right step after that.
Yeah. And I would even venture to say, can you feel good not feeling good?
Yeah.
That's a big thing that we've really been leaning into, is like, you can feel however you want to feel and still be good. Mm-hmm. And so that is something we'll talk about in there too. And I'm so excited to have you in there. The cool part about this too is that we have a live access option and a replay and a bonus option. The all access option has the replays plus a really cool bonus that I'm not technically allowed to tell you yet. But but by the time this comes out, it will be on the sales page and the bonus will be there. So I'm stoked because the bonus itself is worth more than the cost of the training. So there's that.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I will definitely link that up for people so they can join.
And I will say this, if there's anything on this site that you see and you're like, oh my gosh, I really want to grab this, please either DM Kaylee first and get her link so that she gets credit for it if you're coming from her podcast. And also, if you grab it because you're excited and then you're like, oh shoot, I didn't get Kaylee's link, just send us an email and tell us Kaylee referred you, because that is, we talked about the mutually beneficial piece. That is so important to us, that people who are spreading the awareness and the support that we really want to see, we can't do it by ourselves. So when y'all help us, we want to make sure that you are also benefiting from that, because I think that that's how systems really get to be set up moving forward.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Okay, well, that's so much information. I know everybody's gonna leave this episode being like, well, now I have to go to the training, because I feel like I just dipped the pinky, just the little nail has been dipped.
I love it.
I need more. So yeah, we will link up all of the things in the show notes. And anybody, like Dr. Lee said, you can reach out to me and I will tell you all the things, send you all the links. And thank you for joining us today and sharing your amazing, awesome wisdom with everybody.
Thank you, Kaylee, for having me. I appreciate it.